Today we'll talk about the box office here, and it is a pretty alright week with some movies staying in. Like a Mario movie is still here on its 10th weekend, but first movie is Transformers: The Rise of Beasts. So Transformers: The Rise of Beasts is the number one movie of the weekend, and it beat both of these so-called projections that they made for this movie. The movie beat domestic projections, which was, 34 to 44 million, but it opened, 12 to 24 million over the original projections and it opened 10 million over the international projections. This movie is also still beating Bumblebee in China. Okay, this movie is still beating Bumblebee in China as well, because Bumblebee in China, no, with China, had ended up making 465 million. Its opening in China was 58 million, I think, as well. But I think it still ended up beating Bumblebee in China as well. It really depends on how well this movie makes out to in China and other countries as well. As well, this movie ended up making $465 million globally, and could uh no, it beat Bumblebee in ratings. I don't think it beat in actual gross, like especially adjusted for inflation. Here we can go here with the global bow, here. So global bow, okay. China's best in play, 40 million with the hope 50 million. Second best off for the Hollywood film this year with a strong audience tied to Bumblebee. Yeah, okay. The debut is 36% of the previous album was opened in the Christmas corridor. So it is 46% ahead outside of China ahead of Bumblebee. So this movie is doing better outside of China because there's obviously Hollywood fatigue in China. Fast X is doing poorly in China. Guardians of the Galaxy did poorly in China. Okay, but they're doing better than, any movie released last year outside, that isn't Jurassic World Dominion. Okay, so this movie still opened with $40 million in China. Again, this movie is doing badly in China compared to the other movies as well. So we have Fast X. So we'll wait to see how this movie fares, on its second and third weekend. Because The Fast is coming out next weekend. Spider-Verse will still be taking money and screens from Transformers. And also Little Mermaid will still exist. But that movie is already dead internationally. It's already dead in the water. If you look at the box office for the Little Mermaid, okay, that movie is already dead in the water. It only made $20 million internationally this weekend. That's how pathetic this movie is doing. Okay, it only made like $20 million internationally. So this movie is already dead internationally. No one cares about the Little Mermaid remake. Okay, and of course they're blaming the racist Chinese. Oh my god, because the Chinese don't want to see crappy movies. Okay, Spider-Verse is doing better, all right in China, way better than the Little Mermaid did in China. Okay, this movie, no one likes it. Okay, no one likes this movie. It made $4 million globally. It is nowhere near the money it needs to make to break even, and it also bombed in Japan. Okay, yes, it passed $400 million, but at what cost? No one cares about this movie. Okay, no one is watching this in Japan, which is funny. Because they were saying that this movie's gonna do well in Japan. It's doing well in Japan. Trust Disney. Trust the plan. Okay? Disney is so great. Okay? But this movie only made $22 million domestically, which is not that good. Considering that, Elemental and Fast is coming out, this is not good holds for this movie. Of course, it dropped 40%, but again, it dropped 50% last week. It also is behind Aladdin. Okay, now it's behind Aladdin, even unadjusted for inflation numbers. Okay, this movie is now behind Aladdin, not adjusted for inflation. You know, it also bombed in Korea. Okay, and they're calling the Chinese audiences racist. Oh yeah, the so-called racist audiences that went out to go see Spider-Verse. Okay, Spider-Verse is doing pretty well in China. Okay, Spider-Verse is doing pretty well for compared to the first movie in China. But you don't see them calling fans of Spider-Verse racist. Okay, the movie made a total of $3.8 million. Let's go to Spider-Verse very quickly. Okay, so Spider-Verse is nearly is past the first movie already. Okay, China, given this movie $28 million, and animated movies don't do well in China. Okay, they don't make money in China, but this movie still beat The Little Mermaid relatively quickly, you know, all things considered. The so-called racist audiences of South Korea. Oh wait, there was no money for South Korea yet. Okay, and the movie isn't coming out in Japan until next week. So in China, I guess the so-called racist audiences of China went to go see a movie about a black Spider-Man. Saving up the so-called racist audiences, and the racist, people. What was all the racism for Spider-Verse? This movie's gonna pass Little Mermaid internationally as well, and domestically as well. Okay, you even compare both movies. Okay, and it's probably the number one popular comparison. Okay, compare both movies. Spider-Verse is already nearly ahead of Little Mermaid remake. Okay, it's already ahead of this movie. Okay, it's already beating The Little Mermaid. Okay, Spider-Verse may not make $1 billion, but Little Mermaid won't make $1 billion either. And it'll probably be one of the highest grossing movies of the year with Spider-Verse because of how successful this movie has become. Okay, it's not gonna become a Mario movie level hit, and unless it has such an extreme box office ratings internationally that hits $1 billion. Okay. We can also look at the Mario movie. Okay. Let's not forget the Little Mermaid is still competing with the Mario movie. Okay. It's still competing with Super Mario Bros. In Japan. Okay. It's still competing and dealing with Nintendo's movies. Okay. It's still fighting against Mario. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think they have any box office numbers for Little Mermaid remake. But Transformers Rise of the Beast, we'll see what the score on Metacritic is, because that's the only trustworthy score left. Okay, 6.9. So the fans of Transformers really like Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Okay. The critics, of course, don't, because, they never like anything that isn't made by Disney. That isn't paid, they don't get paid for to give good reviews. Okay. Spider-Verse, that's different. Okay. But most fans consider it one of the best Transformers movies ever made. Which isn't really that much of a contest, because most of the Bayformer movies are complete trash, except for like the first one and the third one. Okay? And maybe stretching at the fourth one. Okay? But that's stretching it. Okay? Okay? I think there's a possibility that Transformers could probably hit 30 million next week as well. But Rise of the Beast has the second highest opening weekend of the year for the Hollywood movies. Okay? But, again, the good will have to try to survive without China. Okay? Here. It's funny, everyone else outside of China are pacing ahead of Bumblebee. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 passes $806 million. Okay. Mario. Okay. Mario. Its overseas cube, you know, is passing Frozen in Japan. Okay. It has made $274 million globally after, making another 5.8 million, with a majority of that being from Japan. Okay, Fast X is passing 650. So that movie is slowing down. Fast X is slowing down. China. Okay. But it is the second biggest movie of the year, and it's still gonna lose money because they spend so much money on the movie. But now we have Little Mermaid. Okay, it has made a mere 5 million. 5 million compared to the Mistress of Evil and the Jungle Book and Cinderella. Okay, think of Jungle Book and Cinderella. Those are old movies already. Okay, that's unadjusted for inflation. Okay, look at the Mario movie. How much did the Mario movie open in Japan? 13 million. Okay, and that's awful. Okay, Mario movie of course had good legs. Obviously, Mario movies having good legs in Japan, but Little Mermaid is screwed. Okay, it is screwed because you have Spider-Verse coming out the week after Little Mermaid. You have Spider-Verse. How much did Spider-Verse do in Japan? Okay, how much did Spider-Verse do in Japan? Oh no, not Across the Spider-Verse. We'll do the first one. Okay, how much did the first movie did? Okay, this is the first movie, which is already behind the second movie. We can look at Japan, Jordan, but yeah, Japan. It made a total of $8 million, and that's when they released it. 3 months after the movie comes out. When you can only buy it on digital. Okay, and it made a total of $8 million. Okay, China, apparently in China, made $61 million now. It probably made $61 million in China. And I think it might make out in China too, like the first one, and make $61 million now. Okay. There. But again, Disney is screwed because against Spider-Man again. So let's go over the other movies. We're done talking about the Little Mermaid, Spider-Verse, and Transformers. Guardians of the Galaxy passed $800 million globally. And it has passed $355 million domestically. This movie is slowing down massively, especially in most markets. So don't expect a lot more money to come from Guardians of the Galaxy. Next is the Boogeyman. No one cares about this movie all too much. But this movie is actually having decent legs at the box office, especially internationally. But this movie still needs to make like $80 million, which ain't no way in hell this movie making $80 million. Okay. Here. This is Fast X, which this movie is slowing down globally. Okay. It actually had its smallest drop now, which was could have had a small drop of 46% at the beginning, but nope. This movie is a failure, and I think they know this is a failure as well. Maybe streaming might make this movie break even, but Fast X, people are sick of that franchise already, and the Mario movie passing 1.3 billion dollars. 1.15 billion dollars globally. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this movie, at the very end, When you're in the end of this movie's box office run, it will probably make around 573, probably $575 million domestically, but probably around 570. So yeah, probably around $573 million domestically. So the only problem with this movie is that this movie had poor, weekday performances, which is something that you never really see in movies. You never really see a movie perform so well, on the weekend, but perform so abysmally on the weekdays. Okay? I think if this movie had good holds on the weekdays, this movie would have passed Incredibles. But again, for some reason, this movie is the only exception to movies on the weekdays. It had 80% drops from weekend to weekday, but had good holds from weekend to weekend. Okay? And that's basically what this video. That's basically what this video here. And yeah, we're done with talking about the box office. But it's just so funny that The Little Mermaid is still gonna lose money either way, which I think it will. Considering there's both Fast and Elemental coming out next week, which Elemental will definitely take away some of its market share away, and the Fast will be competing with the Bro movies as well, Transformers and Spider-Man. So, the Bro movies, okay. But yeah, that's basically this video here. Goodbye.